You're surrounded by people who know your name, people you laugh with, people you talk to almost every day, and yet something feels missing. A quiet distance you can't explain, like you're there but not fully seen. You show up, you respond, you play your role well, you say the right things, you smile at the right moments, you keep conversations going. But underneath it, there's a strange feeling, like no one is actually meeting you. It's not that people are unkind, it's not that you're isolated, it's more subtle than that. You leave conversations feeling untouched, like you were present but not known. So you start questioning yourself. Why do I feel this way? Why isn't this enough? And slowly, you begin to believe something is wrong with you. But this feeling isn't random. It follows a pattern where connection exists, but authenticity doesn't fully enter the room. You're not broken for feeling this, you're adapted. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being fully yourself wasn't always safe. Maybe it led to rejection, maybe it created tension, maybe it made things harder. So your mind adjusted. It didn't stop you from connecting, it just changed how you connect. You stayed present, but filtered. You shared, but selectively. You became someone who can be around others without fully exposing what's inside. And that's where the loneliness begins. Your brain is designed to protect you, not just physically, but socially. There's a system called social threat detection. It constantly scans for signs of rejection, judgment, or disconnection. When it senses risk, it doesn't shut you down completely. Instead, it adjusts your behavior. You become more agreeable, more careful, more edited. Think of it like a dimmer switch, not off, not fully on, just reduced. Now here's the problem. Real connection requires emotional exposure, but your brain is lowering the intensity of that exposure to keep you safe. So what happens? People connect with the version of you that feels acceptable, not the version that feels real. And your brain notices this gap. It registers, I am with people, but not fully known. And that creates loneliness, not because you're alone, but because your internal experience isn't being mirrored back. So how do you shift this without forcing yourself or becoming someone else? It starts small. 1. Notice where you filter yourself. What to do? Pay attention to moments where you stop yourself mid-thought. Why it works. This builds awareness of your brain's threat response instead of acting on it automatically. Example, you want to share an opinion, but soften it or change it. Just notice that pause. 2. Share 10% more than feels comfortable. What to do? Don't overshare, just slightly expand what you would normally say. Why it works. Gradual exposure reduces perceived social threat in the brain. Example, instead of I'm fine, you say I've been a bit off today. 3. Stay present after you open up. What to do? Resist the urge to immediately retreat or change the topic. Why it works. Your brain needs to experience that vulnerability doesn't always lead to rejection. Example, you share something honest, and instead of laughing it off, you let the moment exist. 4. Let people respond imperfectly. What to do? Allow others to misunderstand you slightly. Why it works. Expecting perfect understanding increases pressure and reinforces emotional withdrawal. Example, someone responds awkwardly, and you don't immediately shut down. 5. Track where you feel most like yourself. What to do? Notice who and where you feel least filtered. Why it works. Your brain learns safety through repetition, not logic. Example, one friend, one setting, one type of conversation where you feel more real. At the core of this is a simple idea. Connection isn't just about proximity, it's about visibility. You can be surrounded by people and still feel invisible if your real experience isn't being expressed. Your brain isn't trying to isolate you, it's trying to protect you by lowering the risk of rejection. But in doing so, it also lowers the depth of connection. So the goal isn't to become more social, it's to become slightly more visible. Over time, in small ways. You don't need to suddenly become open. You don't need to force deep conversations. You just need to let a little more of yourself exist in the spaces you're already in. Because loneliness doesn't always come from being alone. Sometimes it comes from being unseen while standing right next to everyone. And maybe the shift isn't about finding new people. Maybe it begins with letting yourself be a little more real with the ones already there.